in the room, Anita, Pallavi, David, and Julian. What are your biggest challenges as an entrepreneur? If you can really think, so if you can talk about it a little bit, would be great. If you can share anything from your experience.
Yeah. So I go first, I guess. Nobody moved. Well, what I see here personally is entrepreneurship is always the odd thing. It's like a hippie image to it in a kind of a way. If you say entrepreneurship and I got a business plan, 40 pages, I got $1 million investment from a bank, it's great. If you say I got an idea or I got a skill or I got a skill that isn't in line with what I studied or what I would get a job for, it's immediately like an oddball and it's hard to fit anywhere in. And to find same people or similar people is even more hard because the priority is always get a job first. So like I said before, if you go a little bit further back in time, like 1-2 decades, 3 decades, I mean those people that are still working nowadays, they might all never have gotten any education in what actual skill they have if they were forced to go the career that the people before them went. And so there's a lot of potential people that would have been entrepreneurs, but they never were allowed to. Then at some point they get too old and they don't care because the money comes anyway automatically every month. And for the new ones, it's very hard to be that outlier. What's it called? An outlier that is swimming against the stream. I mean, we had entrepreneurship shows on TV over here, and people basically laughed at them. And then the first prize would be like 5,000 euro or something. Which, how can you start a company on 5,000 euro if you want to do it in a serious way? That people expect you to do it over here. Like this, I start as a sole proprietor, and then I see where it's going. No investment, no risk, just go with it. You cannot pay a monthly mandatory insurance over here if you do it that way. So everything is very business focused, even as the smallest startup. And so skills and what you want to do and what you actually have to do from the environment, it's a very different story over here. So I was in Hong Kong for a while, where you can free for all do whatever you want. It's getting better here. We have now some government support and programs and organizations for startups, but it's always still the typical new business creation type. It's not like you go there, have a crazy idea, and it's see how it goes. It's not a pizza meetup party style. It's really still I go to the bank to get a loan right away kind of situation. So they take it way too serious still, in my opinion. And a lot of people here that dare to be different, they move to other European cities like Berlin, London. Well, London not anymore in Europe, but before it was London for the English speakers. Paris is great in startups nowadays, I hear, since we got the French. Yeah, so yeah, lots go to Paris and Berlin, but not in Luxembourg per se. It's too traditional thinking still.
Have you ever thought to start your own business, Andre?
Well, I did in Hong Kong. I still have in Hong Kong a company, but it's not doing anything at the moment. I'm not there. I use it for doing stuff while I was there at the same time. Now here I run as an independent. That's like a sole proprietor. Like all the fun of risks go to me. And actually, I'm looking at what I should do next, what I could do next. So I did some temp jobs for COVID in the past, like the last since summer last year, I was doing, how to say that, those how you call that, Julia, maison relais?
Yeah. Yeah.
How you call that in English?
Hosting house? I don't know. Like
where you have
Airbnb,
the kids after school for the daytime.
breakfast.
So I was doing like basically volunteering as a minimum wage there for a while, you know, just to get some new ideas. And now I'm back home and I'm thinking, what should I do next? And I come from IT support. I still do IT support on the side, but I have like a book of notes that I do take for what interests me, what are the skills, and so on and so forth. So what should I do next? And it's not so much about lack of ideas, but lack of how to go for it without starting a huge investment over here.
Is that fear? Is it fear?
What?
So you have a notes. You have a book with notes about what you have to do next, about your skills, which is great. And I was wondering what is stopping you to take the next step? And my question was, is it fear?
Okay. No, well, I haven't actually come to, how to say, I haven't gotten too much time yet. It's now where I'm literally sitting here with the book. Before I was in Hong Kong until 2017, and then I came back here, you know, take some time to get used to here, settling down here again. I did have my IT support job that I did like basically full time before. Now that is scaling down amazingly during COVID. IT is scaling down for me. So I did some others, like I said, that job earlier for just, you know, getting out there and doing something completely different from what I would usually do to reset my mind a bit. Then I started taking notes, and now here I am. So it's not like a 10-year-old dream that I put here. It's just I start to sort my thoughts now and see what I can do next.
That's so cute.
It's a quick question.
That's so what?
That's really, yeah, that's cute, and it's also useful. I think that taking notes it's really powerful to take control of because we are very busy, right? So having a plan, even for our small task, I think that is useful to keep track of what we want to achieve in terms of skills, in terms of job, in terms of personal achievement. Yeah, I really like your idea of taking notes.
It's so much more meaningful when you actually write it down. You know, writing versus typing is such a big difference.
Just a quick question. We're here in Australia, well, in my company, one of the things we're now moving into is a additional business. We're mostly analytics and business intelligence, which is a few invoices a month. It's a very spiky business because if you lose one customer, you lose 20-30% of your revenue. So we're always trying to look for low end, you know, a high volume, low margin business that can build a better base. And one of the things we've done with infrastructure, IT services and support in the past, it's difficult for us to do it with the kind of people we've got, but we're moving into a new area, which is work from home setup. So consultancies that help small to medium businesses and even large businesses get their people capable of working from home, help them with the kind of occupational health and safety standards for setting up a home office, what the desk should look like, what the internet should look like, what kind of audio visual you need. Would that not work in Europe? Would you not have a demand for that there?
Overall here, it has been moving very slowly. I mean, COVID came and it took like months for everybody to get set up at home. Up to the day that we had the first lockdown last year, most people never heard about working from home. It's really not pushed here at all until we had been forced to.
See, a lot of people make mistakes.
Huh?
A lot of people make mistakes in how they set their home offices up. They forget that they need their office to be set up in a way that transitions you from home to work and work to home when you step into it. Things like that.
Actually, they're
little psychological tricks.
Well, the thing is, most people work for a company, right? I mean, they are not like self-employed. And the companies who actually have forced their people now to move home, they are eager to get them back to the office, and most people are eager to go back to the office as well. So yes, we might have people that are in need of that kind of service or and information, but it's by far less than you would expect now. It's still this going to work and socialize kind of culture, especially those that are not living in large houses. As you can imagine, you don't want to work from home all the time. You cannot have your espresso in the morning with your colleagues. That's like a torture for many people. I mean, I guess look at France as an example. They are very social over there. Right? So when you force them to stay away from each other, it's very difficult for many. It's not even encouraged. I mean, especially like in Luxembourg, we have so many border workers, right? I mean, there's cross-border workers every day. It's hundreds of thousands. I mean, from Germany, from France, from Belgium. You would imagine that they want to stay home, not traveling every day 2 hours in traffic and so on. But keep in mind, in Europe, you still are taxed where you work. So if I am employed in Germany and I'm living in Luxembourg, well, I get German salary, I pay German tax on the salary, but since I'm based in Luxembourg for working, my home office, I would also pay tax here. So now they have had to change the laws specifically for COVID, for temporarily disable that second tax. And it will resume. I mean, they have extended it already several times. So as soon as COVID is over, basically the entire work from home market, at least across the border, is falling apart again. If you would include all the taxes, if you work for a customer, for an employer across the border, it would be way too expensive. So the only people who can work from home are either, in your own country, and even then they try to get you back to office, or if you are an independent and you just have your clients across the border, because then it doesn't matter. You just provide a service to somebody no matter where they are in Europe.
Yeah.
So it is not such a large market for that than you would expect. And although many have now learned the technology, it will be a very small percentage. But I guess, yes, if you are the first one to actually provide professional help for that kind of setup, there's a good market for it, but it's not as much as you would expect.
I'm hearing heaps of problems, which in my head also are heaps of opportunities, because obviously if you can have tax issues, well, then there's got to be an opportunity for a systematic approach to solving that. So it's not a problem for you to do it. There's also got to be, as you mentioned, if you're working as a self-employed contractor, then you don't have that kind of issue. You have others, but there are a lot of people who wouldn't know whether they could do that, or the companies wouldn't realize that if they employ people as contractors, they're adding some freedom. The whole work-life balance, things like a simple thing like a docking station for a laptop, which says I can go to work, but if I go home, I can just pop it in and I can carry on working. And seamless cloud-based services using cloud technology. So I think you're right. It's a lot of complexity, a lot of weird behavior with the whole sort of semi-central, not central government system that you've got in Europe, where each country is its own country, but it's also one country. But that also, I think, raises just a whole lot of interesting and, I would suggest, quite lucrative challenges for you. Right there where you are, just because you know how it works already, you've done it.
Yeah, well, it might be worth looking into it. That's true.
Just a thought.
Yeah. So you are now offering that over there, is it?
Sorry?
You said you are now offering that over there?
We're looking at offering just basically a work from home setup capability. So advice, technology. We resell TPG Internet as well, one of the internet ISPs. We have, because of our customer base and the business intelligence side, we do need to be able to supply things like software, hardware, and all those sorts of platforms. We have to have VMware skills, SQL Server skills, all of those extra things that we can't sell full time, but we have to keep them in-house. So we're looking at saying, well, we'll open a new avenue of business where we will advise small, medium, and large enterprise on how to get their people to work from home, how to get them to transition between home and work, seamless work processes, all of that sort of stuff, just how you set up a home office, what's your lighting need to be like if you need to do a lot of Zoom meetings or Teams meetings. what does that look like? You know, I'm loving the background on your screens because it's a little window into where you live. But they're also great choices because while they're interesting, they're not exposing too much. You know, but what would happen if somebody wanted to use your kitchen right now, Lorenzo? So yeah, how would that work? So this is the sort of thing that, you know, you can do. And basically little things like some conduiting, electrical conduiting, and an umbrella stand can make a very effective background drop for you, you know, that you can cut people out the back.
I have a green screen behind mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can.
Yeah, you even get a big green screen folder, and it's like a tent thing. You know, it folds into a little pack that big, and when you want to do your Zoom meeting, you unpack it, and you know, like those things that self-click up to themselves, and then you put it in your chair and you lean on it, and it gives you a.
It's a great idea. You know, academics have been working from home for 20 years now. It's been a very normal thing in academia. Yeah. For you to spend, not every day, but 2 or 3 days a week, you would work from home. Quite a normal thing.
The public sector has been doing it a long time as well. You know, the work-life balance has always been much stronger in the academic and public sectors, the importance and the push for it and the strength of that sort of thing. But in the private sector, in our sector, we kind of don't get that as much, but my company has always been a work-from-home company wherever possible. We've had offices, but I'm always pushing my staff to work from home. And before COVID, they didn't want to, same as they always wanted to come in. Now, a lot of them are saying, okay, we get it.
The day we had the transition to work from home, I can remember it very well because we got about halfway through the day, it was about 1 or 2 p.m. And they suddenly said, right, we're going into lockdown, you all have to go home and work from home. Everybody had to pack up everything on their desk into cardboard boxes and take it with them and leave at 2 p.m. That was it. And it was great for me. I picked up my docking station, my 2 monitors, my laptop computer, and a bit of stationery, and carried them to my car, which I happened to have brought with me to work that day. And I was set up at home just as well off as I was at the office within an hour. Well, minus commute time. But there were all these people like who are academics and they're 70 or 80 years old, which is not uncommon among academics, and they're sort of like, how do I plug a USB cable into a computer? And it was very difficult for a lot of them, and a lot of them had very slow internet as well, and so you'd be going on a Zoom meeting and they'd have to turn off their webcam because they'd say, oh no, it's lagging and all of these things. So it was quite a shock for a lot of people, and I think a lot of people could have used help.
Well, I guess we all remember the story about the cat and the cat video, right, in the US with the court hearing.
Yes. That's not the only story. There's been worse ones with people standing up and realizing that the fact that they didn't wear pants is now visible to their entire company. There's a lot of that silliness that happens, and I think one of the things that we believe we can offer is a consistency of service for a company. So if you're going to have your staff working from home, you want to know that they have what it takes to do their job, all right, safely and adequately. I mean, there was a time in the early 2000s, 2005, 10, when we were all hunting for coffee shops that had internet. Remember those days when we didn't get cheap enough internet on our phone, so we'd always look for free Wi-Fi. And it was one of those things which I always used to say to the local coffee shops, create that European-style bench counter with connections and internet service that people can stand and work at in a quiet space where people can go and work and talk to people online or use their phones and not be bugged by the rattle and noise of the coffee shop. And these are people that will just, because it's standing room, they won't stay there for too long, but an hour or two, you got a place to work right where you need to be. And I thought to myself with the COVID idea of working from home, it's the same sort of concept. It's working on a mobility way that needs to be seamless. Whether I'm at my desk in my office at the building at work, whether I'm in a coffee shop or whether I'm at home, how do I make this a seamless place where I can deliver the work? Because we work with our fingers, we work on computers, and that's the big thing. I think that's my nirvana.
Thank you very much for sharing. I would like also to hear from, I think, Julian and Pallavi. Pallavi is your name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go first, Pallavi, or?
Yeah, I can go first. That's fine. So, in terms of entrepreneurship and what I'm currently doing, luckily I'm already working as a consultant, which is letting me utilize my skills that I've learned in my master's degree. So yeah, I've done Master of Information Systems with specialization in consulting, and I've learned a lot of analytics aspect of business. So I'm getting to utilize those skills in my consulting role. So at this stage, I don't feel the need to get into entrepreneurship, but I would like the idea to be an entrepreneur, be my own boss, like you mentioned, Lorenza, getting to fully utilize your skill set. But at this stage, yeah, I'm still thinking about it. Yeah.
It's not mandatory to start a business or to be an entrepreneur. You can also be an entrepreneur within your company. Yeah. So yeah, there is no so it's not a fixed rule, and also so entrepreneurship is hard and it's not for everyone. You really need to have a strong motivation in order to start your own business. Otherwise, it's just unhealthy, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Pallavi. What about you, Julian?
First of all, I really like the quote you had on networking. I would like to steal it if I can. I think it's undervalued the fact that we are not spending taking too much attention on other people and being very present physically and mentally when we're actually with others. Listening is something probably undervalued. And we often, and I do this also, we often listen to answer or to reply and not listen to actually listen. So really like the quote, and I'd like to use it if I can, if it's not trademark. In terms of entrepreneurship, I've read a few books the last year, and then came across the cash flow quadrant, which for me has been a big eye opener. Because essentially that's what I do is good and fine, but I try to focus more on the person I want to become and the lifestyle I want to have in the future. And I came to realize very quickly that the lifestyle I want to have in the future is not suitable with what I'm doing now. And entrepreneurship is the only way for me to move from A to B. So I've actually started to a business, which hopefully will get me from A to B.
Thank you for sharing, Julian. So what do you guys think about, so he mentioned something, so he talked about active listening and self-development. So he mentioned, I want to be focusing on the person that I want to be. This is a concept that I think that is not related, so it's not, how to say, it's not firstly and immediately related to your job. It's really related to your inner motivation and your why I'm doing this, why I want to become that person, who I am. So I think that it takes courage to be who you are, and it also takes courage to start wondering to yourself where you want to be and who you want to be. Again, it's not for everyone. You need to take ownership of your own life, and this sometimes takes a lot of crisis, a lot of so it takes also self-esteem, it takes leadership, and it's hard. It's hard to follow your dreams and to follow your attitudes. It really takes courage, and I'm wondering how we can, once again, empowering people to make this step and not to be necessarily an entrepreneur, but to unlock their potential and and to encourage them to be the person that they want to be.
Absolutely right, because taking next steps is a big big move from very secure employment that they get the same money every month to they don't know when they get the next $100 or so. However, if they have done well, then it become a bigger revenue system. And to help them to do so, we can hold some of the entrepreneurs mentorship or masterclass, because we do have people from that space, and depends on what product or what sector they are interested in. For example, healthcare or technology or education. We definitely have someone in that space that we can refer to.
Can I ask a question to everyone?
Yes.
Are you guys, do you feel to be the person that you want to be?
I think there's always room to grow.
Mostly, I'm still growing, but yeah, as you say, always when I grow up, I want to be a juvenile delinquent, but until then, yeah, I think we are who we are. I always think to myself, I look in the mirror and I see the person who's responsible for my life and for what I need to make and the decisions I've got to do. That's it. There's nobody above, there's nobody below, there's nobody on the sides. It's just that guy in the mirror. He's as ugly as can be, but that's just life, you know. I have to live with that. I do worry though, as we move forward and start putting more pressure on the gig economy type of environments to say, oh, these are employees and not self-employed, we're going to be breaking that model, because the model itself is defined on the basis of, if there's a lot of people out there who don't have the ability to get a prescribed job, either because of visa reasons or skills reasons or whatever, they can work for themselves in something that is maybe low-end entrepreneurial, like being an Uber driver, but it's still entrepreneurial. It still gives them a capacity to earn. And these are just platforms, you know. Now, if the platform is entirely monopolizing, then sure, it is a company with a job. But if it's not monopolizing, so if you look at Uber and it's got Lyft and it's got a few other examples that you can choose from, then, and they're not allowed to be, well, you can't drive for Lyft if you drive for Uber. That would be a anti-competitive behavior. So if that's being regulated properly, just that, but the actual individual driver's own position is not treated as an employee, I think we could get these models to work. But we can't get them to work if we start pushing them in as employees. And that's where the difficulty is going to come in. We are eliminating the low end of the market in terms of the entrepreneurial growth. Because when you start yourself, or you start working as an Uber driver and you start driving around, you're learning business. You're learning how to deal with customers. You're learning how to take revenue. You're learning what's best. And if you can share your skill with Lyft and with the other rideshare companies, then they have to kind of compete for your capability if you're a good, franchisee, if you will, a capable person. So I think I don't necessarily agree with the current approach that we're seeing worldwide of the platforms being blamed for the lack of worker employment. I do see some blame being apportioned for the lack of competitiveness. But to me, the number one thing, the scariest thing in my business to me, but the number one thing that I know I have to, as scary as it is, accept in a small business, is competition. The more the competition, the more chance I've got of selling my product.
The issue I have with Uber and things is at the point where they start to make a profit and take a cut. As soon as they're doing that, they are an employer. If they were to put out the app and say, here is an app, you can buy the app, it costs $1, and it facilitates this business, and we won't get anything other than selling you the app, sure, great. It's then that individual person is running their own business. But if they are working as part of a system which gives a cut to the company that runs the app, then they're an employee, and then they're entitled to a minimum wage.
I think there's a minimum. I think there's a middle road here, because if you're just going to sell the software and walk away, then you're also not responsible for the security, the quality of the car, the ability of the driver, any of the application health and safety requirements. If the government says, well, if you're going to be facilitating a taxi service, well, then you've got to make sure that your passengers are safe, that the customers are looked after.
Which means it comes under the same law that we've already established for taxi service.
In that case, you say, well, you're forced to be a taxi company. Well, we want something that's in the middle. We want something that facilitates the drivers being contractors, but the company being able to still maintain some level of control over the service that they provide. And this is not unusual. This is a common thing. Franchises do it all the time.
It's always been illegal to run a private taxi service. You can't just put the word taxi on your car and run that as a taxi. That's a regulated industry. And if people are going to do something that falls under the definition of it, then they're subject to the same regulation.
Sure. I don't mind the regulation as far as it goes in terms of making sure that, for the same reason the taxi industry's got regulation on it. But taxis themselves were never companies. There were smaller companies underneath it, sure, but overall, most taxi drivers were self-employed or working for a guy who owns a plate who maybe runs 2 cars. They were small businesses. I think that and the food delivery industry and all of these spaces, there is definitely a good opportunity for that low end of the market. And there are going to be people who are just not going to be successful at it. Tough, tacky. Because I can tell you now that with my business, small as it is within the market I'm in, if it fails, it's me that loses. It's my money that goes down the trail. It's tough, tacky for me. It's not a case of, I think that's one thing that makes entrepreneurial so good, is that it's also so scary. But I'm not covered by work cover. I pay it, but I'm not covered by it because I own the company.
Also has something to say. Hi, Julian.
Hello. I agree with you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I have a bit of a background noise. I agree with you. I don't think the real topic and the real challenge is taxi versus Uber. I don't think it's an issue to be a taxi driver. I don't think it's an issue to be an Uber driver. I think the job itself is just a vehicle. And the reality is this vehicle can be awesome if you have a long-term goal. Let's say your long-term goal is to save 20 or 30K or 40K to start a new certification at school. Well, for 3 or 4 years, you're going to work at McDonald's, sorry for the non-Aussie, or you're going to be an Uber driver. And there is nothing wrong about that. It's just like a mean to an end. And I think working at Macas or working as a taxi, it's only a vehicle. So for me, the two clear things is what is the end goal? Because let's say the vehicle is like you have a master, you enter in a master, which is 4 years. You know that the goal is there, or you want to run a marathon. It's the same example. You have an end goal. So the training that you're doing on Monday morning or Monday night, it's going to be easier because you know that there is a goal. The assignment you have on year 2 of your master is going to be easier because you know that there is an end goal. The driving an Uber or driving a taxi is going to be easier if you know that 6 months, 12 months, or 5 years of Uber is going to give you the clarity and the objective you want. I think that the question is, what is a goal? And are you patient enough to actually hold on to that goal? And it doesn't have to do anything with fruit picking or taxi driving or working in IT or working in marketing or working anywhere. I think that the clear, for me, the key is if you don't have clarity about what you want to achieve, you're not going to achieve it, whether you're driving an Uber or whether you're doing IT or marketing.
Absolutely. And as Lorenzo says, have a basic plan.
I think for me, the key is for everyone, no matter whether they want to build a small business or not, or stay in the employee world, it doesn't matter actually. It's to be clear on what you want at the end. And I'm not saying it's easy.
but how matters as well. If your means of achieving your goal is by exploiting people, that's not a valid means. You can't do that.
No, absolutely. I mean, we're speaking about legal, fair, and I mean, yeah, obviously. I mean, yeah.
There's a level of fairness though. If you have the ability to walk away, you have the ability to walk away. And if your inability to walk away is not the fault of the person who's paying you, then that's not his or her problem. That's yours.
Hang on. You could say that about any job. You could say any employee has the ability to walk away. Therefore, you can pay them as little as you like and see whether they walk away. But
no, not as little as I like, as little as they're prepared to accept.
As little as they're prepared to accept.
You see, there's a big difference. There's a big difference.
And then you end up in basically a price war between people trying to get jobs, and you end up with a lot of people living in poverty, even though they're working full time, like you do in America.
I disagree. I don't think that'll happen. I mean, if you look at America, America has a lot of people living in poverty, but also a lot of people living in highly successful positions. But the number of people that are in true poverty are well overstated in almost every one of the number one OECD countries. The idea of poverty is a very, very flexible thing. When they talk about a poverty line, generally speaking, most organizations like ACOS, etc., love to push it up as high as possible because it's how they fund it.
Well, hang on. When was the last time you lived below the poverty line?
About 20 years ago.
About 20 years ago. It's been a while, right?
But which poverty line are you talking about? I come from South Africa, where our poverty line is significantly lower than yours.
Guys, I'm sorry.
So would you
Evans, 7:30, so I need to leave. I'm sorry.
Thank
you, Julian. Bye-bye. I'll be hearing from you next Thursday, okay?
Thank you very much.
Next time is Thursday. Okay. Yes. Actually, before we go to the very deep conversation again, Cedric group about next Thursday. Okay, you need to. So we are looking at the location. It could be St. Kilda in her office. I'm thinking whether that will be workable or you're too far. What's the Heathrow?
Well, it's fine as long as it's not at 5:30.
Well, we can be flexible. It's like we have some snack and network.
Yeah, we do 6.
6? Okay.
Yeah, we only did 5:30 or 6 because it's also for me it's difficult to get it from Audiatically at 5:30. I just make it every time on the nose. And that's because I cut my last meeting short, which is actually my staff meeting, which I should have cut short.
Oh. Okay, let's
so it's Thursday, not Wednesday.
Thursday. Let's aim for 5:20 to 6.
I'll do remote.
I think it's going to be 6:15.
I'll do remote next week anyway because Thursdays I'm going to pick up my daughter from school down in Vermont.
Okay, that's right. I mean, as long as we have a few people on the in-person, that makes it very dynamic as well. And how's the feeling on the other end? I know you guys from 2 different countries.
Are you talking about the next session, Anita?
Yes, that's right. Next session will be strategy, vision, and values. That Kalafi and her boss will be presenting. So
I cannot guarantee that I will be here because I need to check my working schedule. But yeah, if you keep me posted, I'm definitely willing to join. It really depends on my working schedule.
That's fine. That's fine. Excellent.
Just checking, like, would Wednesday be more preferable? Like, I can try for a Wednesday, if not Thursday, for everyone. Would Wednesday work for you better?
Wednesday certainly.
Wednesday pretty good for a lot of people.
Okay.
I'm fine either way, to be honest. Wednesday, I work in Mordiality, so I'm not that far from.
Yeah. All right. I can check on that and confirm to you.
Actually, I'd probably prefer Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. That's good. Let's check it out. And the conclusion today is very good. Thank you, Lorenza, to present the way to have entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
Lovely. And the peer learning is absolutely to the point that we are encouraging everyone to join. Doesn't matter what their background is. It's a leadership journey. It's about we can help each other out and we bring new ideas regardless of what the age is. So a couple of next step and action for us is if we share our events with other people and they can contribute with idea or recommendation what they want to learn as well, and this will make it very much it's an open community. What do you think?
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, guys, and I hope to see you soon at the next one.
Yes, that's good. Andre, any feedback?
It was nice to meet you, Andre.
Mute.
You're muted.
No, I noticed. Yeah, same. I actually looked up that meetup thing that you mentioned. I will check it out later.
Nice, thank you very much. Can you share your full name so I add you on LinkedIn?
I'm not on
He doesn't have
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Oh, beautiful, fantastic.
I'm not on
Okay,
Facebook.
Okay, I'll wait you on Founders Go Wild meetup then.
You can
Are you in MySpace?
message me here, and I get back to you with some information.
WeChat.
Are you talking to me? Are you talking?
WeChat? Oh my God, that's so bad.
Yeah.
What do you suggest next? We do a TikTok meetup?
Like dancing? Like cultural dancing. Actually, you know what? We can do cultural dancing.
I don't have a
Great.
Next topic, TikTok for entrepreneurs. Or recruiting through TikTok.
Including through TikTok.
It would be really useful.
Okay.
No. Hey guys, I'm also preparing a with the Founders Go Wild. I am preparing a Founders Coffee Talk series where we will be sharing our thoughts about different topics. If you would like to join the community, it would be a pleasure to have you as well. I'm still working on the series. It will be out very soon. I was thinking about 5 events, 5 online events, meetings. I will let you know.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lorenza. Wonderful presentation.
Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao. Gracias. Thank you, Andre. Good to see you. Lovely. Well, we just finished our pasta. Sorry, we can't really send our catering over to you, but we have static.
Well, it's lunch.
That's dinner
It's
here.
lunchtime for me now, so.
That's why it's 11:30.
Well, 30 times to have a pot in the Parma, which is what, we had the pot.
Parma. You know what Parma is, right?
Parma, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's good. Well, I look forward to your presentation. Just give us something exciting, okay?
I'll see what I find in the book.
Okay. Thank you. See you next time.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you for bringing
It's
the.
a pleasure. I can't stay too much longer.
What an interesting, very deep conversation. I love it.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in social enterprise, but I'm also a big believer in individual responsibility. Where's the...
I'm into collective.
Collective.